Okay, so I'm going to try to do a live problem here on paper outside of here at a cafe. So the question here is we are trying to rotate the matrix by, I don't know why I wrote 90%. It should be 90 degrees to the right. So given this n by n matrix, and this solution actually only works for just n by n matrices, here represented by a grid. It's an array of arrays, right? And each array has 3 elements here, n by n, 3 by 3, 3 rows, 3 columns. And yeah, so essentially when we rotate this matrix, what we want to see is something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right, so you can see this row turned into this column, this row turned into this column, this row turned into this column. And a cool kind of trick that I saw, I forget the person online who posted the video, but a cool trick that I saw was you have to notice first that when you reverse this input matrix, you get this, right? So let's say here we reverse the matrix, we flip it upside down, which would give us this. So we reverse it in the same order. 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3. We reverse this. We look at this array that we're supposed to give as output, and we can look at these values diagonally, 7, 5, and 3. And when we just reverse this input array, we get those same values here. So that's kind of something to note, that 7, 5, and 3, 7, 5, and 3. But then this 4 is up here, and this 8 is up here, this 1 is up here, this 1 is down there, this 9 is here. So if you can kind of spot the pattern, you can see that these two numbers, if we can swap them, so if we can swap them diagonally, then that means we get the input or the output that we want. So that's actually pretty simple to do. This is at index 0, 1, right? And then this is at 1, 0. So we swap these two pretty easily with just I and j, and then j and I. And then this one is at 2, and this one's 2 of 0, 2 of O. Right? So we can do the same logic there. This one is 1, 2. This one is at 2, 1, right? So there's a pattern there, and all we need to do is swap them. So yeah, so this is the code. Essentially, you define some function. Let's call it rotator. Okay, there's a typo, but I'll leave it there. Takes in some grid. Python, you can just do grid dot, I think reverse works, or you could do something like, this is in comments, that -1 to reverse it, and then afterwards you would, so you need to iterate through it and swap the elements, right? So you need to go for I in range of the length of the grid, and then we would have to do a double for loop for j in range. We would start from I at this point. Range of I, length of grid, and right here we could just do grid I, j. I'm gonna run out of space here. Grid j, that should be an I, and let's say equal to, and then we would just swap them. Grid j I, and you could do this in place in Python like this. Grid I j. I'm running out of space. Sorry if that's hard to see. So that's grid I j. Grid ji is equal to grid ji, grid ij. And then you wouldn't even have to return anything because this problem says do it in place. And once it finishes iterating, it'll break out and it'll give you this output array that you wanted. So hope that makes sense. Sorry if you can't see that code. But yeah, that's how you rotate a matrix 90 degrees. And it only works for n by n matrices. Thanks.